And we welcome you to Phoenix. We're at the Hyatt Hotel here where the Cardinals are throwing a draft party, but we've got a couple of Pac-10 players who are here with us, a #1 pick and a #2 pick. First of all, let's introduce you to Randall McDaniel, an offensive guard from Arizona State University, the first selection by the Minnesota Vikings. Randall, congratulations. Is that where you expected to go?
It was kind of a surprise to me. They never really came out and talked, but like I said, they didn't want to get me excited or have me expecting it. It's a great place to go. And I'm just glad it's over now. I don't have to sit in front of the TV anymore and wait around.
How do you feel about moving from Sun Devil Stadium, playing in this hot climate in Arizona, moving indoors to the carpet in Minnesota?
I'm just happy. I'm looking forward to a change. I no longer have to stand out there and burn up anymore. I can be inside the air conditioned 75 degrees and play. So I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. Also with me, and also from the Pac-10, the first pick in the second round, Marcus Cotton from the University of Southern California. Atlanta took you, Marcus, of course, with the very first selection in the draft, Andre Bruce. Is that going to give you any more incentive going in there as a linebacker, as a second pick, and playing on the same squad with the guy that was picked first in this draft?
Oh, definitely. I feel I'm going to have to work a little harder. I also feel that we're both in the same boat. You know, nobody has a spot yet, but he just has a lot more money.
You were sitting here, and I know you were sweating just a little bit. The Niners had talked to you, also the Raiders. Are you disappointed at all not being picked in the first round?
Well, I mean, everybody wants to be drafted in the first round, but not everybody can be. It's a little disappointing, yes.
So the Falcons loading up at linebacker with Marcus Cotton, and then, of course, the Minnesota Vikings going to get some help for their running game. Darren Nelson, you're going to be pulling out a little bit, aren't you, Randall, helping Darren Nelson?
That's kind of what they said. Quick traps, pulling a little, and just leading the way, so I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, so #1 draft pick, Randall McDaniel, and the first man taken in the second round, and that is Marcus Cotton of Southern Cal. I'm Roger Twyble. I'm at the Hyatt in Phoenix, Arizona, and we'll be checking back with you later, but first, let's take this break.
Today, you need an insurance company that looks out for you year after year. A company with experience, measured in centuries instead of years. A company with a firm financial footing. You need the Hartford, the insurance people of ITT. When you need us most, we're at our best. That's the Hartford difference.
Ted used to be the world's worst barbecuer until we got this charbroil gas grill. Now, he's a regular barbecue genius. You see, a charbroil has this flare fighter system that helps him control his habit of burning expensive meat. But the real secret is these charcoal briquettes. Only charbroil gas grills have them. They give everything Ted cooks a real charcoal taste. Yep, real charcoal taste. And 3 nights a week out of the kitchen, he's not the only genius in this family.
Imagine doing this to your car. It's unthinkable. Yet some car waxes and polishes contain abrasives that can scratch your car. Introducing new Armor All Car Wax with no harsh abrasives, with a polishing ingredient so fine it won't scratch your car. Armor All Car Wax. It shines and protects, but it won't scratch.
Back in New York City, it's early in round 2, along with Mel Kiper. I'm Bob Lee. We continue taking a look at all the players that right now, early in round 2, where we stand with Marcus Cotton having gone first to Atlanta, linebacker out of USC. Second selection of the second round, Detroit taking Chris Spielman. Then Philadelphia with a trade of Tampa, flopping spots essentially in round 2. Eric Allen, defensive back of Arizona State, going to Philly. Then Cincinnati, Ickey Woods, running back out of UNLV. He was selected by the Bengals. Detroit, 5th selection in the round. They went for Pat Carter, tight end out of Florida State. And then San Francisco, in a selection that they acquired from the Raiders, part of the Dokie Williams trade earlier this afternoon. Dan Stubbs, defensive end from Miami, now was selected by San Francisco. That was early in round 2. Green Bay is up with just less than 5 minutes to go. Any surprises? There's some good folks still out there.
That's the key here, Bob. You talk about it being a weak draft, and that's what everybody talked about going in, that there wasn't any depth at certain positions. If you look at the players still on the board, Lars Tate, Thurman, Thomas, Jamie Morris, 3 fine running backs. Perriman, we talked about Elliott and Gerald Perry, the 2 offensive linemen. Defensive linemen like Michael Dean Perry and Sean Patterson. Here's the Packer selection coming up.
It is 7.
Sean Patterson, defensive tackle, Arizona State.
There's the guy from Arizona
Sean
State.
Patterson, defensive tackle, Arizona State.
And a
Los
run
Angeles Rams are up.
Sun Devils, and Rams are up, followed by the Giants and then the Jets. We talked earlier about how Detroit had the extra selection here in the second round, and that was the pick they used to take Chris Spielman. They had it because they thought so highly of Neil Smith, defensive end of Nebraska, Kansas City, with that selection. The second one in this draft, Neil Smith.
People here at the university for 2 years, and I only had 1 year start, so it didn't have too many people know me. So I had to really, when I had my opportunity to play here, I had to really shine, and my last 2 years, and I did just that.
He grabbed his
Neil's progress was unbelievable. When he came to us as a freshman, he was 208 pounds. That was back in August of 1984. Let's take a look here. He was 280 pounds, as I said, when he reported in August. When the season was over in November, he weighed 228. We started our winter conditioning program in January, and he was up to 234. By the end of that program, he weighed 245. When he reported back as a sophomore for his fall camp, he was up to 256 pounds. His progress continued throughout his career to where, as a senior, he was 261 pounds when he played his senior year. His speed increased as his weight increased. He ran 4.89 as a freshman in '84, and as a senior, he ran 4.43. I believe this makes Neil Smith the fastest lineman in the country. As far as Neil's power, we measure that with a vertical jump. He came to us at 29 inches in 1984 and increased that through the years to his senior year at 35.5 inches.
My weight when I first came in here was just right. I wasn't straining through the years that I got here. I got bigger, I got faster, and, this is, like I say, it's the work habit. If you can create a work habit and also get into this program, then, I'm for sure, you come out on top.
The program worked for him. Neil was named the team's outstanding weightlifter. But there's criticism of the Huskers' weight training. Some say Nebraska players burn out from that work, and they're not long-term NFL prospects.
Our program is made up of athletes who have worked hard and made their name on the college level because of their effort and their persistence and their determination, not necessarily their skill. So sometimes we get labeled as not being a good NFL crop or producer of great NFL athletes. We have our share of great athletes. Neil Smith is a good example, Dave Remington, Turner Gill, Irvin Fryer, Mike Rozier. We have the great athlete. But we also have a host of walk-on athletes who have built themselves up and yet don't have the true talent the NFL is looking for.
I know people heard time and time again that, a lot of people come out of the University of Nebraska that don't last long in the pros because they be burned out. I mean, that's a lie, really, because I feel that, you know how to push yourself to the limit, and how far you can go.
His physical accomplishments are captured on computer disc, but Neil brings intangibles to everything that he does.
Oh, he inspires me. He always did. Because whatever he go to do, he try to do his best. Whatever it was, he would go after it determined that it's going to be, you know. And I like that.
And I felt once I got here that I could accomplish something, and I put it in my mind and my dedication towards the game and my off-season work to get in to be, you know, the best I can be.
Yugo is the toughest, most dependable car a little money can buy at Mall Chrysler Plymouth Yugo. Yugo now has a terrific buyer protection plan. Complete 12-month, 12,000-mile protection, plus an unbelievable 48-month, 40,000-mile warranty on the powertrain. And Mall has Yugo GVs for a rock-bottom $39.90. Yes, only $39.90 for Yugos at Mall.
The best deals made are made in the shade at Mall Chrysler Plymouth Yugo.
Mall Chrysler Plymouth Yugo, Route 38, Maple Shade, New Jersey.
Funny thing, people prefer to have their Cadillac serviced here at DeSimone even if they bought it somewhere else. They find they're simply treated better. They soon discover something else, too, that DeSimone is one of the largest factory-authorized Cadillac dealers in the United States, and that they can save a lot of money by buying their next Cadillac right here. For example, this new Sedan DeVille lists for over $24,000. DeSimone's price, $20,886. DeSimone Cadillac. You can't buy a Cadillac for less anywhere.
Of tomorrow are doing their best today in the nation's high schools. Every Wednesday, ESPN Scholastic Sports America looks at the record setters, the scholar athletes, the standout teams, players, and coaches. It's the only weekly program that scouts the nation and the world to find America's outstanding young athletes. Join Chris Fowler every Wednesday for Scholastic Sports America on ESPN.
We're back live in New York as we are, well, let's see. We're 4 hours plus at the 1988 NFL draft selection process. We're into the second round. Now, the Rams, while you were gone, the Los Angeles Rams' second-round pick was Anthony Newman, a safety from Oregon. So the Ducks go swimming down to Los Angeles. Newman, a guy they feel that they've had some great defensive backs at the Rams over the years, but getting long in tooth a little bit, Cromwell out, and so Anthony Newman goes to the Rams, and the Giants have the next pick. You thought it was Michael Dean Perry. You're looking to put Michael Dean Perry somewhere, and also whether Thurman Thomas.
Who said Perry? We know something, don't we, about a little wager that took place.
Well, you can't win them all, Zim. The Giants, do they go to another tackle?
I would. I'd take Elliott.
John Elliott?
Yeah, keep taking tackles.
The John Elliott that I remember played defensive tackle for the Jets. He has a Super Bowl ring. Not the same guy?
Number 80.
Now, I reminded you, he's stealing all of my stuff. One thing that we should know, the 6 wide receivers taken in the first round this year is a new record. It breaks the old mark of 5 set in 1973, where for you trivia buffs, Isaac Curtis was chosen by the Bengals. Darryl Stingley was chosen by the Patriots. Barry Smith, Green Bay. Steve Holden, remember him, Cleveland Browns. Johnny Rodgers, chosen by the Chargers. So the 6 wide receivers in the first round today, that is a new record. And so now we have Giants and Jets, and so the gallery is...
They're yelling Elliott.
They heard you.
They don't. Well, they booed Eric Moore. They booed the Eric Moore pick. They know Elliott because they read about him in the paper. So you know they get all jacked up and yell. I mean, they can't evaluate. Well, I shouldn't say all this.
No.
It's, I'm on weird ground here.
You're standing on very shaky.
It's shaky stuff. Can't antagonize fans. I didn't mean it, fellas.
Well,
I like Elliott though. I do like Elliott.
The Philadelphia Eagles got Keith Jackson. They got Eric Allen. 2 guys that we talked about that they didn't think they would get. They would hope to get one and not both. The axe was with Buddy Ryan a while ago.
Watching the draft, of course, some of us wonder, why does teams need so long? Why does it take 15 minutes to make a trade, to trade up? Well, here at Eagle headquarters, I know you've had the phone lines buzzing to a number of teams, buddy, to trade up and get the defensive back you wanted.
Well, we started playing this scenario really early this morning because we had anticipated getting Keith Jackson and then trying to get people that say they may trade with us if our guy's available. And then, of course, it went on after the Keith Jackson deal also. And finally, we got one, Atlanta, who was willing to do it. And then Tampa, we made the deal with Tampa because we tried with the Bears. We tried with practically everybody in the league. And we finally got it done with Tampa, and we gave them Atlanta's 4th that we got. So we have an excellent football player that we would have taken #1 if Keith Jackson hadn't been there.
You mentioned talking to the Bears. You got a warm reception when you call the Bears? Can you still talk?
Sure.
Free trade there with
I have a lot of friends in the Bears.
And so, but that just didn't work out because they didn't want to give up the pick that high.
No, we tried with them. We tried with everybody, not just the Bears. I mean, Denver. We were talking to everyone.
How good is Allen? Obviously, your defensive system puts a lot of pressure on cornerbacks. Does he have the mental toughness to come in and take that pressure right away?
Well, we wouldn't have drafted him if I hadn't thought so. And I looked at him in film. I thought he was a great player. I thought he was the best defensive back out there. And we got him in the 2nd round, which is great. Really, our system don't put any more pressure on corners than anybody else. We do a lot of doubling, helping corners. But we think he's a smart young man, which is something we look for. He is also tough. And, what's great, he can run.
Okay, just a final question occurs to me. How did Arizona State lose any games? All these guys are getting drafted left and right.
Well, I think they had quarterback problems. Someone told me. I don't know for sure what happened, but I don't look at games that way. I just look at individuals, and so we were real high on this young man. We're great that he's an Eagle.
Okay, thanks, buddy. We'll be talking to you later in the day.
Okay. Buddy Ryan always says what's on his mind, and so does Pete Axtell. That's why they're very comfortable together. The Giants have just chosen, and Zim, it just proves, if you hang out to the 36th pick, you can get one. That was mean, but it took 4 hours before I slapped you around. John Elliott, tackle, Michigan, has gone to the Giants, and now they've taken 2 big tackles, Eric Moore and John Elliott. So you would certainly say they're addressing a need there.
It's almost redundant now calling an offensive tackle a big tackle. I mean, there aren't any little offensive tackles.
Yeah, you're right. Isn't 290 little?
Yeah, you're not as rough as McGuire was last year. I can take anything you've got.
No, he's in a different class.
You won't be able to match McGuire.
I'm not attempting to. I think anybody would be foolish to try and attempt to match Paul McGuire. The Jets are the next team up in the 2nd round. They went tackle the first time, Dave Cadigan. Do they go defensive line this time? We shall see when we return to New York in a moment.
Don't wait for your secretary to drop a subtle hint that it's Secretary's Week. Surprise her with a gift from your FTD florist, like this beautiful Secretary's Week bouquet. Just call your FTD florist.
Hi there. You looking for Mr. Right?
Give this guy a light. And Bud Light here.
Ask for Bud Light, the light beer with the first name and taste. Because everything else is just a light.
Thanks. Keep the change.
Ma'am, would you choose hamburger A, a Wendy's hamburger that's made fresh to your order, or hamburger B, made ahead of time so it sits around?
If it sits quietly, hamburger B.
But the Wendy's hamburger's fresh.
Fresh indeed. In all my 43 years of teaching, fresh is one thing I never tolerated. Not for an instant. And if that hamburger wants to talk fresh, it can do its talking in the principal's office.
Yes, ma'am.
Most people prefer hamburgers made fresh, like Wendy's, the best burgers in the business.
Wear what the pros wear. For your Proline catalog, send $1 to 10812 Alder Circle, Dallas, Texas, 75238. That's 10812 Alder Circle, Dallas, Texas.
Welcome back to New York City as we continue our live coverage of the Sunday draft in the National Football League. To some, it's a moment of elation. 27 players today gone in the first round. To others who had their sights set very high, Thurman Thomas a short while ago.
Sleeper pick.
Yeah. A sleeper pick. Well, now, there's Thurman. He's realizing that sooner or later, someone has to take a back of his quality. He just had been hoping that it would be in the first round, and now you got to assume that he's going to go somewhere in the second round. So the Giants have selected here in the second round John Elliott, big tackle from Michigan. The Jets are up next. They have about 4 minutes to go, and up in the balcony with the Giants and Jet fans, which is always an interesting merger, we add to spice it up a little bit, Beano Cook. Bean?
Okay, up here in the West Bank, up here in the balcony, and the place went wild when the Giants picked a tackle from Michigan, 800-pounder John Elliott. Jerry Silverman, who is a Giant fan, why all the commotion?
Well, because we're filling 2 spots in the offensive line this year. If these guys can start, give Phil Simms a lot of time, we can do it again. I mean, when we gave him time 2 years ago, we went right to the Super Bowl. Phil Simms had his best year.
You haven't shaved. Have you been in line for 3 days to get down here?
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, we were planning on getting here early, but we had a great time last night, so we got here right at the beginning, and we got right to the first row. Wasn't too bad at all.
Okay. Here we have Aaron Berger.
Don't worry about it.
Okay, a Jet fan.
Right.
Are you happy with the Jets pick so far?
We need anything.
Need anything?
So we took the best available guy and we put him in the line, and hopefully he'll block for O'Brien and he won't be on his...
What do you think the Jets should pick in the remaining picks?
Well, defensive line.
Defensive line. Now look, you have this. You guys are crazy. Why are you here? When did you get in? What time did you get down here this morning?
Well, we stopped to get facial paint on the way, right? But we couldn't find any, and that's why we showed up at like 12 o'clock.
Giants play the Jets this year. It's a Jet home game. You go to the games?
All of them. Never missed one this last
You're not
year.
discouraged? Do you think the coach should come back next year?
Do you think the coach should come back? You're a riot, Alice. A regular riot.
Do you?
No way.
You're unhappy with the coaching staff?
Dissatisfied tremendously.
What happens if the Giants don't make it next year? You're going to be upset? Yes or no?
I've lived with it before.
Okay.
No, we're going to go all the way.
Okay.
All the way.
Back to Chris Berman.
Well, as, what was it, Stevie Wonder's song? New York, just like I pictured it, up there in the balcony with with the Beanster, as we call him. And so the Jets, we're waiting on their pick. We already heard the prognosis for Joe Walton's future, so I guess that's cast in stone now that Beano got that opinion. And we'll be back with more fun and games here at the Marriott Marquis. I thought you could get anything in New York. What, Sunday morning, no facial paint? What's the problem? We'll be right back.
If quality is your passion, then GMC Truck has something for you. From the popular S15 Jimmy and pickup to the full-size Sierra and vans, you'll find GMC trucks as comfortable and stylish as they are rugged and dependable. Now, for a limited time, combine option value packages with a $500 cash rebate and save up to a total of $2,400. With value like this, there's no better truck or time to buy. GMC Truck. It's not just a truck anymore.
You give it your best, so we give you ours, and things keep looking better all the time. Lose sight, it's a science and an art. You get great color from the start. Lose sight when it's coming from the heart. It's the science and the art of painting.
Give it your best. Give it Lucite.
This is the leading edge of racing technology. The perfection of the new Pennzoil Z7 Special powered by the Penske Chevrolet engine. And from day one, it has run on the world-class protection of Pennzoil motor oil. There is no other engine in the world like it, and no other oil in the world can protect it like Pennzoil. Pennzoil, world-class protection that exceeds U.S. warranty requirements of every car maker in the world. Now save $3 a case or 20 cents a quart. See mail-in rebate coupon in the back of every bottle.
Every year in Zermatt, people fall for the Alpine Splendor and drop some cash at some of the best stores in Switzerland. Which is okay if you have Visa Gold, because we'll not only help you get a doctor or lawyer for whatever you need, we'll deliver emergency cash and a new Visa Gold to wherever you are. And if you needed a card and cash from American Express in Zermatt, you'd have to go to Lausanne, 100 miles away. Visa Gold, it's everywhere you want to be.
We are early in round two. The Jets just making their selection. Phoenix is up, and they've got about 8.5 minutes to deliberate. But you talked about this young man before. Terry Williams, defensive back out of Bethune-Cookman right after the Giants made their pick. The Jets wasting not a moment going for Terry Williams. Let's take a look at him in action. Because you had speculated a possible late-round pick, a fifth-year player. The only time he started was his senior season, but boy, did he make something out of it. And he also did a nice job on special teams. Had a great senior year. That really zoomed him up the charts.
Really did. He closes on the ball well. He has real good instincts for the position. He's a solid 190 pounds. He runs in that 4.42, 4.45 range. He went up against Bernard Ford from Central Florida, who figures to go in the second or third round area, and he blanketed him the first game of the year. Only gave up one reception for 6 yards when he was going man-to-man with Ford. You see the quickness, big edge there, 4.42. That's why he got the 4.7 grade. Agility is excellent. Force, we always lower the corners, but he is a tough kid at 190 pounds. Outstanding choice. I really thought, Bob, that he would be a first-round choice. So I think at this point, one of the steals of the draft.
If history means anything, and usually it does, that's why they call it history, only one of the last 4 #1 selections by the Jets currently holds the starting job. But the Jets have extraordinary success in round 2. So, if you want to extrapolate that into history, Terry looks good on the depth chart.
You look at what Mike Hickey did a few years ago, and a lot of people criticized the choices when he had the Mike Hayton whatever. But I think this goes to show you the Jets came in very organized, ready to do a job. You got Cadigan, the first-round pick, guy who can play guard and tackle, come back and get a corner, which fills a position of need. That's a major weak link for the Jets. I think the Jets right now had one of the top drafts, and you're only talking about 2 selections, but right now, I think I agree 100% with both these choices.
Dave Cadigan in round 1, offensive lineman out of USC, then the Jets with Terry Williams out of Bethune-Cookman at defensive back. We're waiting on the Cardinals, who raised some eyebrows a little bit in round 1, then Tampa Bay, who had a trade earlier today with the Eagles. We continue from New York City after this word.
Guess what? It's trash day, remember? Well, to be perfectly honest, I almost forgot to put the trash out. And I bet I'm not the only one. Our garbage is something we'd all like to forget about. Cart it to the curb, and it goes away. Preferably far away.
Find out how one community is curbing the trash crisis.
Sunday morning at 11.
Hi, I'm Tom Brookshire.
And I'm Greg Lozinski.
Bull, you had a great baseball career, my friend.
Thanks, Tom, but you're no stranger to winning.
Well, I've had a good career, and I met some winning people like you along the way.
Yes, like the winning team here at Wrightson Home and Ford.
You're right, a great selection and a courteous staff backed up by General Manager Joe Galactic.
And Joe's always here if you need him.
Visit us at Wrightson Home and Ford, Route 73, Mount Laurel, New Jersey.
Stay in the swing of things with Major League Baseball Magazine every Monday on ESPN.
Today, you need an insurance company with a firm financial footing, a company with staying power and intelligence to see you through year after year, a company with experience you can count on. You need the Hartford, the insurance people of ITT. When you need us most, we're at our best. That's the Hartford difference.
When the bad guys take over, and the good guys are the worst of all, whatever you do, don't call the cops.
Can you handle this, or is this too real for you?
RoboCop's Peter Weller.
You're gonna miss me when I'm gone, babe.
Sam Elliott.
Oh, I see. The ride gets rougher than this.
You betcha.
Shakedown, rated R. Starts Friday, May 6th at theaters everywhere.
I'll say it's me. I'll give it to you.
We are back live in New York as the Jets, we discussed their defensive back, Terry Williams from Bethune-Cookman, hoping that he can look in the pros like another Bethune-Cookman product did for the Dolphins some years ago at guard. Larry Little, hard to get better than that at guard. Jets hoping they get a similar player at defensive back. And while we wait for Phoenix, we have with us live from Stockton, California, Mike Blatt, who represents several players, one of which was Kelly Stouffer. And so, Mike, you certainly have been a man on the go and a man watching the calendar and the clock as it wound down this week. But you got Kelly Stouffer signed, sealed, and delivered to the Seattle Seahawks. Now that you look back at it, Mike, do you think that Kelly's best interests were represented by the sitting out of a year and all the commotion and everything else now that he is in Seattle?
Yes, I do. Kelly's extremely happy to be with Seattle. He and I talked about it, and both of us agree that it was totally worth the waiting out for the year. If he would have signed with the Cardinals, he would have sat on the bench for approximately 7 or 8 games and watched the good quarterback they have down there, Neil Lomax. So we feel he's going to a situation where he wants to be. Financially, he's in a better shape, and I think he's in a better shape being with the team that he wants to be with.
Mike, you represented Chris Miller last year also, who sat out a while before he finally signed with Atlanta. Are you worried that you had Stouffer sit, you had Miller sit, you have other potential clients looking at you saying, my goodness, this is like Howard Slusher, everybody he represents, he's going to advise him to sit, or are these just different cases?
No, they're totally different cases. The players are independent events. If a player decides that he doesn't want to play with a certain team, or he decides the offer that he's been made is not fair, then it's up to the player to tell me that he's willing to sit out. We've represented 17 draft choices in the last 3 years that have been drafted in the first 2 rounds, and 1 or 2 of them have decided to hold out longer than training camp. So it really depends on the individual himself.
Mike, this is Tom Jackson. Salaries amongst NFL players from that first round, second round, even through the first round, pretty much etched in stone. How do you come to grips as an agent with dealing with what you have to deal with in the front office of the NFL?
Well, basically, we don't go with the premise that all of them are etched in stone. The place the player is selected is etched in stone, but I don't feel that you can look at one team and decide they need a player any more than another team needs one. I don't go along with the theory that salaries ought to be stepped and salaries ought to be pegged. I think the teams decide how much they need a player. Depends on what position they play, and a particular quarterback. I don't think you can look at a quarterback's salary and decide that he's should be pegged between a defensive lineman and an offensive lineman.
Yeah, Mike, this is Paul Zimmerman from Sports Illustrated. I remember we talked a couple of weeks ago. Why do you feel that Kelly is going to unseat Dave Craig, who's an established quarterback?
Well, basically, Dave Craig's a good quarterback. We were in Seattle for a couple days. Kelly spent quite a bit of time looking at film. I think Dave Craig is going to be a tremendous influence on Kelly. I think he's going to help him learn the system. Kelly's going to go up there next week. I think it's the 5th or 6th of May, and he's going to stay in Seattle until the season starts. He'll be working with a quarterback coach. He's got a playbook with him right now. He's going to make up for a lot of lost time, and I think he and Dave Craig will become good friends, and I think Kelly has the physical ability to be able to take over that system when Dave Craig thinks it's time for him to take it over.
All right, Mike, we thank you very much. We congratulate you on Kelly's behalf, and best of luck. Thanks for being with us. Mike Blatt with us live from Stockton, California, who got Kelly Stouffer his new deal and new home in Seattle. And now, while we were gone, while we were talking with Mike, Tony Jeffrey, running back TCU, has gone to the Phoenix Cardinals. Now, these are guys that definitely, when you stack them up against the Thurman Thomas or a Lars Tate from Georgia, you wonder why those two guys are still on the board, although Jeffrey obviously a good player. The Cardinals going with running back Jeffrey, and now involving that trade with Philly a while ago, Tampa Bay owns the next selection here in the second round. We'll be back with more in New York as we are almost midway through. My goodness, the second round is moving so fast. You feel you're at Indianapolis Speedway. We'll be right back.
Oakley here is filling in for Bob tonight. Good luck, kid.
For 3 years, Bill Oakley took orders.
Okay, tonight we need to fit up the shell plate, weld it out. Fit up the shell plate. Okay,
But tonight,
all I hope we can get. Are you with me?
he's got to stand up and take charge.
You got to reach inside. You got to turn the tide. You are the power, the man of the hour. You got them on your side. You make America work.
Here's to you, Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste that makes Budweiser the king of beers. For all the guys who know it's not what you say, but what you do.
This bird's for you.
ESPN takes you wherever the action is in May. To the ice, where hockey's hottest teams face off for the coveted Stanley Cup. To Paris, where the world's best players battle in the French Open. To the Indianapolis 500 time trials. To Churchill Downs on Derby Day for all the races leading up to the Run for the Roses. To Jack Nicklaus's hometown for the PGA Memorial. And to the 50-yard indoor war. Arena football, all in May on ESPN.
The main ballroom of the Marriott Marquis in New York City as we are midway through a very speedy round two, the first Sunday draft of the National Football League. We continue with our 9th consecutive year of live coverage on ESPN, looking down towards right after the draft. A big evening planned for you. We've got SportsCenter coming along at 7 Eastern Time with Tim Brando and John Saunders. Then it is hockey with Montreal and Boston. Sam Rosen and Phil Esposito for the Adams Division Final. It's Game 4 with the Bruins up 2-1. NFL's greatest performances of 87 coming along right after the hockey at 10:30 Eastern Time. The complete 60-minute SportsCenter tonight at 11 Eastern Time. And on both of those SportsCenters, we'll also take a look back at what we've seen today so far. What has been a very quick National Football League draft. People not dwelling long to make their decisions. We've had 38 selections made. We've had 10 players from the Pac-10 taken so far in those first 38. We haven't seen a quarterback taken. That's not a surprise, Mel Kiper. We didn't expect to see that. It's the longest we've gone without a quarterback selection since 1984. There's some good players out there. We're waiting on Tampa Bay. They've got about 5.5 minutes to go until their selection. Tampa Bay, Buffalo, and Dallas are the next teams to pick. But we've checked in with Thurman Thomas, and Stillwater guys are sitting and waiting. Michael Dean Perry sitting and waiting.
Tampa Bay needs a running back, and when you look at that running back position, you see guys like Lars Tate and Thurman Thomas and Jamie Morris still there. I keep talking about Brett Perriman. He's going to be an outstanding receiver, and talking about a strong second-round draft. Vincent Brown, the best pure inside linebacker available, still on the board. Talk about Michael Dean Perry. 2 tight ends that have moved up the charts. Alex Higdon and Farrell Edmonds still there. So it is definitely quality still available. There's no question about that, Bob.
Tampa Bay, of course, selecting in the first round Paul Gruber, offensive tackle out of Wisconsin, a player the Jets had their eyes on. Tampa Bay, it's so usual to see them picking. This is, I believe, the 4th time in the last 5 years they've been in the top 10. They've had the high draft picks. Now the key is to do something with them.
Well, it is. You're talking about a team here that I thought made a pretty good move. It really accommodated Buddy Ryan, allowing them to get Eric Allen, but now they moved down, and they still have an opportunity to get a pretty good running back. So I don't think they lost that much, and they picked up that top pick in the 4th round, which could turn out to be a very productive player for a Tampa Bay Buccaneer team that has a number of needs at key positions. So far, Tampa Bay's done a good job. That left tackle Gruber's going to do a heck of a job on Dent and Dolman. You're talking about 4 games against 2 great pass rushers. So we talked about that earlier, and of course, now I think I personally would go either running back or a wide receiver because it's strictly a pairman. I think pairman is one of the top 28 to 30 players in this draft, and now we're in the middle of the second round practically. And at this point, if they make a running back or a wide receiver pairman the choice, you'd have to say it would be a bargain at that point.
There's some players out there, you've heard the adjective first-round choice fixed to their name over the last couple of weeks, and they're still sitting and waiting. We've got at least a couple more hours to come. The Marriott Marquis in New York City.
My husband Ted used to be the world's worst barbecuer until we got this Charbroil gas grill. Now, he's a regular barbecue genius. You see, a Charbroil has this flare fighter system that helps him control his habit of burning expensive meat. But the real secret is these charcoal briquettes. Only Charbroil gas grills have them. They give everything Ted cooks a real charcoal taste. Yep, real charcoal taste. And 3 nights a week out of the kitchen, he's not the only genius in this family.
If quality is your passion, then GMC Truck has something for you. From the popular S15 Jimmy and pickup to the full-size Sierra and vans, you'll find GMC trucks as comfortable and stylish as they are rugged and dependable. Now, for a limited time, combine option value packages with a $500 cash rebate and save up to a total of $2,400. With value like this, there's no better truck or time to buy. GMC Truck. It's not just a truck anymore.
When Radio Shack put their $849 computer on sale for only $599, I just had to have it because it runs the same IBM PC software I use at the office. I got this complete system, including color monitor, for only $899. And it came with 7 programs in one, like word processing, budgeting. My wife uses it to run her catering business.
Homework, Dad.
They use it so much, I'm thinking of getting my own.
Save $250 on a Tandy 1000 SX, only $599 with software. Complete system only $899 at Radio Shack.
And midway in round 2, we have just had our 3rd trade of the day. Tampa Bay trading their 2nd place position, their 2nd round draft pick to San Francisco for San Francisco's 2nd round pick this year. So they flip-flop positions in the 2nd round. And also for San Francisco's 4th round selection, Tampa Bay now has 3 4th round selections. And with that selection, the Niners picking in the 12 hole in the 2nd round, selecting defensive end Pierce Holt out of Angelo State. There are a lot of intriguing stories in this draft, but certainly I think Pierce Holt's is an amazing one. He goes, I would think, an unconventional selection for San Francisco, but they traded up to get him.
Well, they traded up. I guess they figured another team was going to be interested in Pierce at this point. You know, he's going to be 26 years old when the season starts, a little over age, but he had a productive career at the small college level. I thought he was a 4-3 defensive tackle, stay-at-home type. He's a real battler in there, real strong, and he's got great character. He's a high-intensity kid. You know, he's going to be a plus both on and off the field. 49ers, you know, really bolstered that defensive front with Holt and Stubbs. They got the stay-at-home type in Holt, and they got themselves the outside pass rusher in Stubbs, and that's really what they needed to do, is start putting some heat on that quarterback, because they had a lot of undersized guys there. Of course, Holt brings that size to the defensive front to go along with Carter. And, of course, Stubbs, at that point, we talked about him being a bargain, even though we talked about him being a plummeting pick, and he lasted until the 2nd round. So, at that point, another steal. So, we're talking about a lot of steals, and that's because it's a deep draft at certain positions.
2nd selection in the 2nd round for San Francisco, and Pierce Holt, a very unconventional story, a very uplifting story. Defensive end out of Angelo State. Pierce selected by the Niners in the 2nd round.
San Angelo, Texas, midway, a long way between Dallas and San Antonio. A spot of green in the heat and sand of West Texas. The Concho River flows through San Angelo, and it's there you will find the rare Concho Pearl. And there's another pearl. He plays football. Pierce Holt, a defensive lineman for Division II Angelo State, distinguished not only by his skills, but by his circumstances. 26 years old, married, the father of 2. He spent 3 years in the working world before entering college. And when he tried to pursue a scholarship at the University of Houston, Holt found out that because of his age, he'd have 1 year of Division I-A eligibility. So Pierce decided to forge a new course.
I kind of got the door slammed in my face at the University of Houston, not by their own doing, but by the NC2A rules. And
And I got to calling around. You know, I found out that I would have 4 years of eligibility at the Division II level, so I called some different Division II schools.
Well, Pierce called us. It was during the Christmas holidays, and we recruit during that time, and I was here at the field house, and he called and expressed an interest in Angelo State, told me his story, told me he'd been out of school for a while, and that he wanted to come out and visit. You know, we felt like it was certainly worth investing a plane ticket for him to come out. Once we saw him, you know, his physical size, and, you know, as you have been impressed by visiting with him personally, the same thing happened with us. You know, very personable kid. We could find no negatives whatsoever, so we felt like he was certainly worth a shot.
He was a starter in his freshman year, and he was an All-American selection by the time he was a junior. Pierce Holt has been described as fifth-gear nasty. He's fast, he's very strong, and he has that intense emotional drive that brings success in football's trenches.
Pro coaches talk about his heart muscle. They've never seen a guy that big pursue all over the field, and he does. He plays 100% every play, every step. That's probably the strongest thing he does. He does have good strength. He's coachable. He's developed some good instincts, and has really established a lot of good football sense, I think.
To me, it's a personal thing. Either that guy's going to whip me, or this team is going to score, they're not going to score, or whatever it is, I'm going to do everything in my power to stop it. When I come in there on film day on Monday afternoon after playing a game on Saturday, if I have to sit there and see myself not hustling, not trying to do everything in my power, letting my teammates down and letting myself down, then it's going to be a hard week. You can ask my wife about that.
When he gets down on himself, I don't let him stay down too long. I like him, you know, to get back up, and he's real hard on himself whenever he does the littlest mistake, you know, so we just try to keep him going.
There's a maturity and a stability in Pierce Holt's life that comes from his family, but pro scouts have questions.
There's some negatives. Sure, I'm older than most guys. However, you know, like we've talked about, I've only played 5 years of football. My body hadn't been beat up over a long period of time. I hadn't been playing this game since junior high. Some of the negatives, my age, you know, just being an older guy, I guess. But it just depends on how you look at it, I guess. And I'm sure there's going to be some teams that take a negative look at it, and maybe there'll be some teams, hopefully, that look at it in a positive light.
This is, after all, a once-in-a-lifetime chance, and there are lessons to be learned from the hard work and the discipline.
I think the main thing that I've learned from the experience that I've been through, you know, when you relate it to football, family, and everything, is that if a guy keeps trying and works really hard, you know, good things are going to happen one way or another.
When the day breaks, the folks at Robbins Farm Market are getting ready for spring planting. Come and see the largest selection of shrubs and outdoor plants at Robbins Farm Market. You're welcome to browse around our greenhouses. They're full of geraniums and flowering bedding plants that will dress up your home or office. Visit our garden and lawn care center for all your gardening needs. So now that the weather's nice, come to Robbins for sound advice. Robbins Farm Market, Haddonfield Berlin Road, Voorhees.
Don't wait for this to happen to you. Call Alliance Insurance. As part of the Alliance Insurance and Financial Network, if you have no accidents and want liability only, your monthly rate could be as low as $146 down to a maximum of $244 down. Your rate will depend on your qualifications. So for low monthly rates and so much more, call Alliance Insurance. In the Camden area, 541-5744, or in the Cherry Hill area, 858-8700.
NHL's Cold War heats up. The battle for the Stanley Cup is underway with the divisional playoffs. The action continues tonight, live on ESPN.
The phone has finally rung in Stillwater, Oklahoma for running back Thurman Thomas of Oklahoma State. It's the first selection made by the Buffalo Bills. It came in the second round. And after Thurman Thomas gets over initial disappointment of maybe falling to the middle of the second round, he'll realize that A, he's going to a team that's on the rise. B, he's going to a team that was looking for a running back. Thurman Thomas last year, yes, we know that for 2 years he has a, quote, questionable knee. But if it's so questionable, how come he ran for 173 yards against Oklahoma last year, which is the most anybody has run against the Sooners since 1969? And that includes a lot of games. Obviously, the all-time leading rusher at OSU, not so obvious because Terry Miller was there, for his career, gained 5,000 yards. So you're talking about a guy that last year carried almost 300 times. In '85, carried more than 300 times. He's a workhorse. And how he fell this low, we're not really sure. But Tommy, going to the Buffalo Bills, they certainly can use some running back help. Now, Riddick did a heck of a job for them last year before he got hurt, more of a workhorse type guy. But Harmon is more just a receiver. Thurman Thomas can carry the ball and carry the ball off. And you like the pick?
Well, I think it's a great pick for him. I think, and knowing that they didn't think he would be available this low, I think a lot of teams passed him by because of the knee and you take a chance on him with the Bills. Great thing for Thurman. He's going to a good football club. That's the main thing. He didn't get picked in the top of the second round where he ended up with the Atlanta Falcons, the Detroit Lions.
We talked about Buffalo a lot last year. You've got the enforcers on defense, and now they had Jamie Muller and Riddick, who were bigger backs, but now he can definitely fill a role there. And Buffalo, a team that we should watch this season.
And a lot of that pressure will be taken off of him by Kelly. I think at the end of the season last year, the two up-and-coming clubs that we saw were in the AFC, it was the Buffalo Bills, and in the NFC, the Philadelphia Eagles.
Zim, if he has the questionable knee and he's playing with the brace and everything, the question came 2 years ago. He still carried the ball a lot of times for Oklahoma State. Do you find that a lot of teams were still scared of him for that reason?
Well, guys with bad ailments carry the ball a lot in college because they don't have to bring him back next year. I mean, like Joe Namath, you know, with his torn ligaments, they just packed it nice and wrapped it tight and sent him out there. They shoot him up, let him play. You know, terrible things are done to guys in college. They don't care, you know, because they're getting rid of them. I know I'm being very soft about this, but
way to dodge the question.
No, I'm not dodging it.
I'm only giving.
But the scouts that I talked to said he's a yes, but they said he's a terrific guy with feet like Joe Washington. That's the name I keep hearing. He's basically an I-back type who reads very well, but he's a yes, but you know, and you know they make him carry 25, 30, 35 times a game. They burn him out in college. A lot of these guys.
Maybe he is we can compare him to Wilbert Montgomery. A guy who carried the ball a lot of times for the Eagles, but then again, unfortunately, couldn't go the 10 or 12 years because he's not a huge individual and got bashed after carrying 30 times a game.
Yeah, he took some major league hits. So did Larry Brown, if you remember him. You know, these guys who play too tough for their body, they just don't last that long, especially, you know, if they're in like a George Allen system where they patch them up and send them out before they're ready.
But if he can go the 5 or 6 years and play with Buffalo, he may have a chance to be in the Super Bowl, and that's that. If Buffalo's Super Bowl, I know maybe, and here's Miami selected. I'm trying to pick it up.
Defensive back, Florida.
Jarvis Williams, defensive back, certainly a position of need, goes to the Dolphins. Before that, Dallas picked in the second round, a name you might certainly be familiar with if you follow sports, Ken Norton Jr. That's right, son of the former heavyweight champion, Ken Norton Jr., linebacker, UCLA, goes to Dallas. So
that pick knocks me out.
I knew that was coming.
I'm sorry. Apologize.
What the worst line of the day so far? You could win the dreaded Blitz Award. What about Norton? Of course, Dallas has been drafting their backers, but they don't have the impact player.
It's a BAA pick, best available athlete.
Not BAD, BAA.
Right. Best available athlete. I don't think they know where they're going to stick him in there. Just they like his athletic ability, so draft him.
Well, they can. I mean, they have Lockhart, of course, in the middle was hurt, but they their defense can use some upgrading. You like the pedigree?
I think he's a Lockhart-type player. He's a big, strong kid, big hitter inside, and I think that's obviously what the Cowboys are looking for.
All right, and then the Dolphins go with defense, and so next up are the Patriots, as we kind of have a run on the AFC East. So New England, they go next. Miami, to review, goes Komaro, defensive tackle, and now they go Williams, defensive back, and now New England is coming up. They picked John Stevens in the first round. We'll be back with their second pick, and we'll also be visiting very soon with Thurman Thomas, who is now on that nonstop flight from Stillwater to Buffalo. There are a lot of them. Stay with us.
Round of lights here.
If you want the one light that outshines them all, ask for Bud Light.
Let me know when you're ready for another round.
I'm Gene Stallings, head coach of the National Football League St. Louis Cardinals. Over the years, I've coached some of the greatest athletes in the NFL, and I know the rewards of victory. But none have been more important to me than my work with this young man, John. When he was born, he was diagnosed to have Down syndrome. In some ways, he would never be like other children. For him, there would never be a chance to play in the National Football League. But over the years, I've seen him grow. He's 24 years old now, and his progress is measured with little victories. The times that we spend together are very special to me. John made this for me, and he made it with a great deal of love. The same kind of love that I have for him. Because you see, John is my son. You ready, Johnny? Let's go right. When you support the United Way, you're saying to people like John, don't give up. We'll give you a helping hand. You can make it. The United Way. It brings out the best in all of us.
This message furnished by the National Football League.
All right, we are back at the Marriott Marquis, and New England is just, I tell you what, the Patriots, Dick Steinberg and company, knew what they wanted. They didn't take long. Vincent Brown, inside linebacker, Mississippi Valley State. Boy, I really like the way New England is drafting. They start with Stevens. Now they get Vincent Brown, inside backer. Steve Nelson has just retired. Here is a kid that's certainly intelligent as heck, and certainly
he's a big hitter.
A big hitter as well.
I mean, he's a thumper and makes things happen.
He's a business-like player, isn't he?
Well, he's a tough guy. I mean, you know, he's a real intense type of player and a big sticker, and they got the same type of offensive guy. So they got two big hitters offensively and defensively. It's a nice draft.
He's definitely an inside backer. We should say that. You don't project him at outside, where they're going to wait at least a year, Tommy, to see if Don Blackman can come back. He may never play again with the unfortunate injury last year, so Blackman won't play this coming year, but that's outside. That's a different position. But Mississippi Valley State, yeah, that's Jerry Rice. Yeah, I guess they have some players there.
And a couple other great qualities that he has, that the ability to read the quarterback in those zone coverages. They said he has a soft pair of hands, which you don't usually find in those big inside hitters.
All right, so Vincent Brown goes to the Patriots. Steelers next up in the second round. But now Stillwater, Oklahoma is the place, and Andrea Joyce is with Thurman Thomas.
Well, this has been a very long, gruesome afternoon for Thurman Thomas and all of his family and friends that have gathered here in Stillwater. Thurman, you got the call from the Buffalo Bills about 25 minutes ago, and we saw your expression change. It seemed like you almost smiled there for a couple of minutes. Was that relief or was it excitement? What was going through your mind when you got the call?
It was a relief. I've been sitting around here waiting a long time. I expected to go earlier. But Buffalo is a nice place. It's a football team that's on the rise. They had a good year last year, and with Jim Kelly there and Cornelius Bennett and all the rest of the guys, I'm sure it'll be a team of the future.
Well, now that's what you have talked about, that, how much you enjoy being on teams that start out maybe a little bit slower. And what do you think you're going to have to do to be an impact player with the Bills?
Well, basically just do the things that I've been doing, which is running the ball and catching the ball, and the things that I do best. If I continue to do those things in the NFL, Buffalo will have a successful program.
Exciting to be in the same backfield with Jim Kelly?
Real exciting. I think I can take a lot of the pressure off him.
Okay, now I don't mean to embarrass Thurman's mother, but Ann, you told us yesterday that you don't like to fly and you don't like cold weather. Are you going to be okay?
I'm going to be okay. I'm just buy me a heavy coat.
And take some airplane rides up to Buffalo.
Airplane rides. I can do it for Thurman.
All right, well, Thurman did not go in the first round, but he was the Buffalo Bills' first kick. And, of course, he was the MVP in 4 bowl games that he played in during his collegiate career. We will be back with more NFL draft action in just a couple of minutes.
Today, you need an insurance company that looks out for you year after year. A company with experience, measured in centuries instead of years. A company with a firm financial footing. You need the Hartford, the insurance people of ITT. When you need us most, we're at our best. That's the Hartford difference.
If quality is your passion, then GMC Truck has something for you. From the popular S15 Jimmy and pickup to the full-size Sierra and vans, you'll find GMC trucks as comfortable and stylish as they are rugged and dependable. Now, for a limited time, combine option value packages with a $500 cash rebate and save up to a total of $2,400. With value like this, there's no better truck or time to buy. GMC Truck. It's not just a truck anymore.
Nature can be devastating. The wood on your home needs protection. A water sealer waterproofs. Olympic Clear Wood Preservative does too. And Olympic gives you linseed oil that strengthens wood fibers. And additives to resist mildew. And preservatives to resist rot. Water sealers fade by comparison. Olympic, protecting wood for over half a century.
Buy Olympic Clear Wood Preservative through April 30th and get a $1.50 rebate from Olympic.